Hello. Welcome to the Nerdy Folks Podcast, a conversation about the nerdy things we love and the things that matter most. My name is Matthew Seipel Anderson. I'm the host of the show and chaplain to the nerd community. Today we're talking about Star Wars Skeleton Crew, a very exciting entry into the Star Wars canon. But before we talk about any of that, let's talk about some news. Well, there is so much happening, a lot of great things coming out in 2025 and beyond. Marvel fans are going to love Valentine's Day this year because Captain America: Brave New World hits theaters on February 14th. Thunderbolts comes to the world stage on May 2nd of 2025, followed by Fantastic Four: First Steps, July 25th of 2025. And finally, Avengers Doomsday, May 1st of 2026. Now, that's not all the Marvel content that's out there, but those are the big movies that are coming in 2025. The DC Universe is gearing up. They're going to release Superman on July 11th of 2025, followed by Supergirl and The Batman Part 2, both hitting theaters in 2026. The Star Trek world is also getting set to release some new stuff. Star Trek Section 31 hits Paramount Plus on January 4th, and Strange New Worlds is set to make a comeback sometime in 2025, followed by Starfleet Academy in 2026. Always excited for new Star Trek content. Now, this is an episode about Star Wars, and as we know, Star Wars Skeleton Crew kicked off December of this year, and we've got Star Wars Andor Season 2 coming out April 2025, Star Wars Visions Season 3, which is an anime that's coming sometime in 2025, and there's a movie that Jon Favreau has been heavily involved in titled The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is set to come out May 22nd of 2026. So, wow, lots of amazing stuff. Lots of stuff that we'll be keeping our eyes and ears on in the days ahead. Well, Star Wars Skeleton Crew kicks off a major adventure for a group of preteen kids in a galaxy far, far away. The responses have been super positive. In fact, I think it has a 95% average tomato meter rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is super high amongst all Star Wars stuff, including the original trilogy. That's really high, so it's killing it. It's doing great. Fans are loving it. I also think that this show, so far at least, has been well written. It gives us a nice blend of lore, nostalgia, without being overly full of fan service, which is really nice. A fresh story, fresh characters that don't have baggage and all kinds of connections. And it's just a wonderful story of these kids who get swept up into an adventure. And there are some Force-sensitive people and pirates. And it's just a ton of fun. And I was thinking about the preteen years. And the preteen years are magical because preteen kids get to leave their parents' shadow, and they get to have some real adventure for the first time in their lives. And it's real because it involves real danger. And I think that's something we're seeing in this show with these kids, and I think it's something that we all can resonate with, right? So Katie and I, we were thinking about some of our own preteen adventures that we had. And I remember taking my bike on a trail that went down the side of a ski hill. Like my friends and I, we were biking all over town, and we started to discover trails around our town that we lived in. I grew up in a small town called Proctor, Minnesota, which is just outside of Duluth, Minnesota. And if you know anything about Duluth, it's an outdoors mecca. There's so much outdoor recreation to be had in that city. And so near where I lived, there's actually a ski hill, and there's the downhill ski trails, and then there are a whole collection of cross-country trails. Well, there are some trails that go directly down the ski hill, but they're not on the ski hills. They're like in the woods on the side of the ski hills. Anyway, I remember we decided to take our bike down these crazy trails, and my tire got lodged into a rock or a root or something, and I flipped over my handlebars because it was fairly steep, went tumbling down into the bushes, and that's just a great example of the kind of adventure that you can go on as a preteen or as a young teenager, because you're finally able to go off on your own and take a few risks like that. And actually, Katie shared a similar story, and I got her to do a quick recording of it. So here you go. Here's Katie's adventure.
So when I was about 14 years old, a friend of mine and I walked to a nature park nearby. It's probably about a half a mile walk altogether. This nature park had running river, a pretty decent sized running river with waterfalls and all the fun things like that. And it was, I don't know, like end of March, maybe beginning of April. There was still some ice in the river and like on some of the rocks in the river, but most of the ground didn't have any snow or ice on it. So we went on this nature hike and we just kind of apparently wanted adventure, or were not thinking clearly or something. I'm not exactly sure why we decided to go swimming, but we went swimming in Leicester River near a waterfall, and it was very cold. And then we walked the half a mile back home. Neither one of us got like hypothermia or anything, so I'm not exactly sure what happened, but from a parental standpoint, I think of my children doing that, and I'm like, I would not be too pleased with them if they did that. I remember that situation very clearly. I do not remember thinking that I was doing anything wrong. I remember thinking this is crazy and cool, and that's about it.
I love those two words, crazy and cool. And I truly think that these adventures we have in our preteen years are really important for forming who we are. And as we get older, oftentimes we look back with longing and with nostalgia at those early adventures. And I think the reason for that is we're made for adventure. And at the root of that longing for adventure is actually a spiritual desire, I believe, for God, because this whole life is really a journey from our own incarnation to God through the course of our life. And the life of faith isn't just about having our misdeeds and our sins forgiven and learning how to not do bad things. It's about actively following in Christ's footsteps and trying to live out the things that he's taught and trying to sense who he's created us to be, what he's put inside of us, and what he wants us to do with all that. And that is a daily adventure. It's actually a daily invitation to adventure. Jesus even said, "Come and follow me." That was how he called his disciples. Come and follow me. You don't know where I'm going. You don't know exactly where it leads. It's an adventure. It's a new thing. You have to follow to find out. And it's really exciting. And so, this show that excites the kid in all of us really can bring us back to that simple longing for adventure. And I think the root of that longing is a spiritual longing for an adventure with God. And of course, this show is just plain fun, and there is nothing really deep about it. We're going to get to see space battles involving a werewolf headed pirate. We're going to get to see a pirate robot who's helping, like, as the first mate of the ship. We're going to get to learn the backstory of Crimson Jack, our mysterious hero slash guide slash maybe former Jedi, maybe former dark side user, maybe just force sensitive guy who's in this adventure with these kids. We're going to get to learn about this very mysterious planet that's kept itself hidden for so long, and it's going to be awesome. So much Star Wars lore, so much fun to be had, and I can't wait. Speaking of fun, I had the opportunity to interview my son Willem. He's watched the first 3 episodes, and it was great talking with him, getting his point of view, because he's the same age as the kids in the show. So, Willem, tell us what Star Wars movies or shows you have watched before.
This is my first time ever watching Star Wars.
First time ever. So, did this show make a good first impression on you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Can't wait for the next one.
Awesome, awesome. Does it make you curious to watch other Star Wars shows?
Yeah, I'm curious to see what it would be like.
In the show Skeleton Crew, who are some of your favorite characters?
You gotta love SM-33.
Yes, yes, a droid with lots of character, which is a must for any Star Wars show. So, do you have any predictions for what's going to happen in future episodes?
I think at Antlim is gonna be exposed, and they're gonna follow them into it, and they're gonna have to fight.
It wouldn't be much of a Star War without a war, right?
Very funny.
Hey, so you are kind of at a similar age to the kids in the show. What are some adventures that you've gone on away from your mom and I that have been like kind of fun, but maybe a little scary?
One time I got lost in a maze, and that was pretty scary. I had to make my way out of that.
Was that a corn maze?
Yeah, but still, it was a big one.
Very nice. Well, thanks for sharing all your stories.
No problem, anytime.
Aw, yeah, it was fun making this a family affair. I think as far as the future of the show goes, there are some things that are fairly predictable, but I still can't wait to watch them. I think there's going to be some kind of redemption arc for the Crimson Jack character. Before he is redeemed, of course, there's going to be some kind of downfall where he's going to let the kids down, probably put them in a lot more danger. But I think they're also setting him up ultimately to be sort of a Han Solo-ish character, have an arc similar to the Han Solo story where he comes around and embraces the light side and saves the kids. I also agree with Willem that the planet is going to come to light and is going to be thrust into the forefront of the Star Wars universe. At least in this story, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think the families of the kids are going to escape from their home planet to go find their children. And they're going to say, forget this great work that we're doing. Our kids are more important than this planetary secrecy. So that's going to be crazy to see. Of course, there are going to be lots of battles and space battles and ground battles. I'm curious to know if there's going to be a lightsaber duel. If you think there's going to be a lightsaber duel, let me know in the comments. I'm not really convinced that there is going to be, but the universe of Star Wars is quite large, and it is definitely possible in this time in the Star Wars history. I mean, there are people who have lightsabers, so it could happen. I'm also curious to see if there are going to be some tie-ins to The Mandalorian. For sure, there's that one pirate, I think his name starts with a V. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he is on the crew of the Wolf guy, of Brutus. And so he is definitely going to at least be in the show. And so we know there's that tie in. How big of a deal they make out of that, I'm not really sure. I kind of feel like this is going to be a bit more self contained, maybe with some light tie ins. But either way, it's been boatloads of fun, and I can't wait to see how the episodes unfold. Hey, thanks so much for listening. We really, really appreciate all of you guys. And if you would like to reflect some of that appreciation and support the show, head over to our website. You can donate. You can become a patron of the show. Thank you to our patrons. You can buy some merch at our website. So amazing and appreciated. And if you yourself need some care, need a word of encouragement, don't hesitate to reach out. Head over to nerdyfolks.com, drop us an email. I would love to be praying for you, to respond to your correspondence, and just be an encouragement in your life. So, love you. Until next time, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.